Good day and welcome, America and beyond. I'm Tom Donahue for Tom Donahue Reports and The Briefing. So glad you could be with us. I'm going to be circling back on some subjects that I have overlooked, not because I consciously wanted to. It's because I felt like a man on a mission and laser focused on the Epstein files. And some of you may have thought that was overkill, and that's okay. I mean, there's plenty of talk shows and podcasts that are covering the day-to-day breaking news and other issues. And sometimes I circle back because they're bigger theme, bigger picture issues. Was the assassination of Charie Kirk. In the radio business, I didn't know him. Of course, he was a lot younger than I am. I've never heard a bad word about Charie Kirk. And so I've only heard good things, and that he was a good guy and he was legit and he stood up for principle and all of that. Now, Erica Kirk, I'm not going to get into all the conspiracy theories, but there's a lot of strange activity. For one, if you go back in time, she was a beauty pageant contestant, and she was representing Miss Arizona in the USA pageant for teenagers that Trump owned, controlled, and dictated. And there's even pictures of that, which I think that's not really a mystery. It's not a conspiracy or anything. I'm not faulting or judging that, but it does seem to be a little bit odd that someone is so immersed in Christianity and that was showing a lot of flesh in a beauty pageant run by Donald Trump, that, there were a lot of rumors swirling about him and his backstage antics. And we've kind of touched on that before as it relates to the Epstein files. Another thing surfaced just recently, and that was she was a participant in a country western music video, and she was in little tight shorts and it was very skimpy and provocative outfit, and nothing pornographic, but it just seems to kind of clash a little bit with the image that she has these days. And after marrying Charie Kirk and Turning Point USA and family values and all that, but in this video, which actually it was pretty well done, but it shows her tattoo. I mean, that alone showing that she wasn't shy or she certainly had no qualms with being a little bit edgy. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. Now, another thing that you may or may not be aware of is that she was, I know, at least one episode. I don't know if there were other episodes. I didn't research it thoroughly, but I did see a couple scenes from this show on Bravo called Summer House. And apparently a friend of hers invited her to come into New York City because it's filmed in the Hamptons, and they do go out to bars and clubs and restaurants and beaches, in the Hamptons on Long Island. And then they do also, some live and work and some go into the New York City. So they were meeting at some bar/restaurant, and the guys were, goo goo gaga over her, but they're saying, well, she's Christian though, so you got to be careful. I'm paraphrasing. When you are involved in a reality show, and most people that appear in that are getting paid, okay? And some of it's staged, or their producers are making suggestions. They're collaborating on, where you're going to meet, who's coming, maybe what the theme of this is going to be, or what the activities are going to be. But she volunteered, obviously. I mean, no one forced her to be part of, and they should just call it Raunchy House, because Summer House it's about hooking up. It's about, people partying and out of control. It's really a very unpleasant show to watch because there's not a lot of positivity, and there's certainly not a lot of good things that occur. Okay. A lot of cheating and a lot of one night stands, and, so you get the imagery here. So I don't really know what this woman truly stands for, but I'm not here to judge. I'm just saying that it does seem odd and somewhat suspicious that for someone that's so devoutly Christian, and Charie Kirk, of course, was, that, I mean, I know she's strikingly attractive and she has a bubbly personality. And, Charlie was smitten and when he was introduced, and I'm not, again, people, I mean, they both were professed Christians and both were young and attractive people. So, whatever. I mean, I was emotionally struck when realizing that he was assassinated. And I think most caring and good people had to feel awful, in the pit of their gut when they heard and saw what happened to Charlie Kirk. Now, Charlie Kirk, I'm not going to go all the way down every rabbit hole with Candace Owens. I mean, there are some things that she has to say that you go, that's interesting. That should be looked into. And there's other things that you're like, not so fast. Not sure about that. And Candace Owens is someone that is very telegenic, very articulate, very attractive, and so people, they not only enjoy the information, but the presentation that she offers. And she's very popular. But, a lot of people fail to realize, with all the condemnation and criticism, where did she work? She worked with Charlie Kirk. And I don't know if you saw any of the homegrown or homemade videos when they were on the road and they were doing things, and you saw her like teaching him how to dance and introducing him to some certain hip hop and edgy kinds of music, and they were laughing, and they were very playful, and not in a romantic or sexual way, but just as friends. They were just real good buds, So then you look and you go, wait a minute, she worked with Ben Shapiro in the Daily Wire, and she worked with Dennis Prager in Prager University. And so did they not detect that maybe she was this edgy and maybe had these conspiratorial views and theories and beyond? So I just love when there's a split and something happens, and and you go, well, wait a minute, they were in the same camp. I mean, they were paying her. She worked for them. She befriended them. So what happened? So it keeps getting more and more interesting. I want to spend more time on this, and there's others that have spent considerable time and energy, and I'm not trying to be an expert in this. I'm just kind of like giving you a kind of a big picture observation, some things that I've been wanting and meaning to say, and it's something that evolves based on my stream of consciousness and how I feel led and guided, and that's how I do it. Although I will refer to some news headlines, I just feel like I'm talking more from my heart and my spirit and my recall on some of these tragic and shell-shocking events. It really was. It just shook me to the core. It's horrific. The young children, the survivors, and when they had the memorial, I thought it would not. I didn't think it was going to be like a Trump rally. I didn't think it was going to be all the sparkly and all the glam and glitter, and I just thought that was way too ostentatious and just over the top. And it just reminded me of the Jim Baker and Jimmy Swagger and those kind of events that if Jesus were there, he'd clean out the temples. I mean, he did. I mean, I don't think he looked so kindly on that presentation, but then Trump is involved, of course. He politicizes it, and he has to, of course, say mean and nasty things relating to his enemies, his revenge tour. And believe me, even though he's the president, if I was running that event, I would have pulled the plug on his microphone. Yeah, I would have. Yeah. He always crosses the line as it relates to morality, as it relates to just manners, social norms. He's just a crass and crude person, and he doesn't have to be. I mean, that should have been a dignified and solemn event, not a political speech. That really bothered me. And there were a few other nimrods and numbnuts that had to politicize it too. I mean, Trump he has the bully pulpit. His cabinet members, you can do press conferences anytime you want. You can do rallies anytime you want. You can do TV appearances and radio appearances and promos and spots and, whatever, email blasts and TikTok and YouTube. And you don't do that at a memorial. All the glam and glitter. It was just too much. I don't like to criticize a widow. Okay. I don't really I don't know what's going on in her head and her heart. And so I'm just going to say that always having a tissue in hand and wiping away, which doesn't appear to be tears, but she wants you to believe that they're tears, and maybe they're invisible tears. I don't know, but it just always seems very peculiar that she's mopping up something that doesn't need to be mopped up. If I had a spouse and something like this happened, I would just go into a cocoon. I'd be grieving. I would be out of the limelight. Thanks for listening to Tom Donahue Reports. That's TomDonahueReports.com.